Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Well, here they go again, people. Nancy Pelosi and her friends, their Dems, in the Congress, once again, wasting the taxpayers' money trying to push through an impeachment of our President Donald J. Trump. Now, I must state, a lame duck president. We all know what you're doing, Ms. Pelosi. You're trying to prevent him from being able to run a second term. But I don't think President Trump really is interested in running a second term. I know I wouldn't be, not if I'm going to be persecuted by the left constantly. I think he's probably had just about enough of the Democrat Party in regards to what they put him through. He accomplished what he set in to accomplish, and you cannot take it away from him. You can't take away what he's accomplished. And us as the American people, we're not fools. We can see what's going on. You know, we can see what you've done. But I'm going to tell you something. There's a scripture that says that the government shall be upon his shoulders, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. God is the one in charge. And I'm telling you people right now, and you've seen it, the situations that are happening right now, right in front of your faces. I tell you, the Democrat Party has no plan. They're going to implode on themselves. If you're with all your enemies, you got a battle going on. You claim now you won the battle. So here we go. We won the battle. And here we are standing here. A bunch of people who don't really care about the people that are in charge and put in charge to represent. I'm talking about the Democrat Party. Sadly, it's very clear where they stand in regard to the American people. And we're going to share some things today. And I haven't heard this in the mainstream media, nor even on some of the other new channels as well. I'm sharing this as something that ONA has brought out. But I'm going to share it with you today. But before I do that, I want to share a scripture with you. It's in the book of Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12. Now I'm going to tell you, I heard somebody say today, a reporter say that there's a battle going on, and it's against all the conservatives. And it's going on all over the place, even some places around the world. Well, what I'm going to present to you, they start one place, they say they're going to keep going. Now, what does this sound like to you? A lot of this foolishness, I really already know what it is. It's a battle between good and evil, God and the enemy. Simple as that. We want to make things political and all these different grounds, whatever, but this is what's going on, people. The very fact that the war is going on like this in the natural, and we as believers, as me as a Christian, a believer, I see in the spiritual what's going on. There's a battle going on. Somebody made a statement recently. I was listening, I think it was on Newsmax. They were talking about, as a congressman, and he was talking about how every time they were doing something a little crooked in some other country, they blamed President Trump for something else. This issue that happened with Hillary Clinton and the dossiers, when they had that thing going on, they started accusing President Trump of Russian collusion. Yet she was the one in bed with the Russians. Ukraine, same thing. When Hunter Biden's investigation began, which a lot of you didn't even know about because it kept it secret for 2 years. When it began, they started attacking President on the Ukraine issue. Way back, was it last year, the year before last? They started attacking him on the Ukraine issue, trying to impeach him. It took place around the same time that they were looking into Hunter Biden's involvement with Burisma and all the other companies and China companies and his getting millions of dollars to do their bidding in our government, with now President-elect Joe Biden in charge with President Obama. Well, that's a story for a later day, and it is going to come, and you will find out all the mess that was going on. The swamp is going to be taken down. Be sure of that, because I told you before, and I told you yesterday, the American people are only going to stand for so much. After a while, they're going to start fighting back. I don't know how it's going to be. Hopefully it's not violent, because if it is, then we have to take sides. I don't want to do that. I want to be able to resolve things peaceably. And I'm sure the majority of us conservatives would like to see that happen too. We don't want to go into another revolution or civil war in this country over foolishness that the Democrat Party is pushing through. Okay, we're going to take a short break right now. We'll be right back with you here on the Black Conservative Voice in one moment. Watching the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the Voice of Truth. The scripture I wanted to share with you, and I told you this shortly before the break, this is in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12. And some of you know this already, but I'm going to read it to you. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and against powers, against rulers of the darkness of this world, against wickedness in high places. What are the high places, people, in this country? The government, the leaderships of all these countries. Some that are on the side of our country and some that are against our country, that go along with the Democrat Party to try and destroy our country and turn us into a socialist communist nation. Let's move on to the news. President Trump has dismissed efforts to invoke the 25th Amendment as Democrats move against him in Congress. Now, we find now that Mike Pence also condemned those efforts and says he will not go along with it. So he has to go along with it for it even to take place. While speaking at the U.S.-Mexico border wall in Texas on Tuesday, President Trump condemned any and all violence. The president said Democrats are causing tremendous anger, pain, and division throughout the nation. And I agree with the president. While addressing the protests at the U.S. Capitol last week, President Trump said the administration believes in respecting our nation's great history, not tearing them down. Now is the time for our nations to heal. It's time for peace and for the calm, he stated. Respect the law enforcement and the great people within law enforcement is the foundation of MAGA agenda. President Trump went on to condemn Democrat efforts of impeachment while calling it the greatest witch hunt in the history of politics. I agree with him there as well. So this Democrat Party, President-elect Biden came out about a week ago talking about unity and withholding democracy and all these things like that. Yet we hear now that they're trying to tear our country apart. Okay, once again, we see that President Trump has been taken down from a lot of platforms, not allowed to have his voice be heard, and some places for a short time, other places are claiming they're going to bring him down permanently. This is big tech and social media. I'm telling you guys, you better stop it. You're going to be blocked out. You're going to be considered a monopoly, and eventually you're going to be bye-bye. Several other countries' leaders, this is all around the world, including Mexico and several other countries, even the countries that they supposedly supported the Democrat Party. Several other countries' leaders spoke out against big tech blocking the president. They don't want their social media blocked as well. Now, the thing is, what's going to happen eventually, people, is this. If you're going to block our president, then block all these people on social media that's speaking against America. Why are we allowing people to say bad things about our country, yet a person who wants to say good things about our country and encourages people, we're blocking that. And I'm talking about our president, President Donald J. Trump. Donald Trump is not intending to say anything, and even the things that you block and things you're not putting up, we're calling for peace, calling for unity, just as former Vice President Joe Biden was doing, calling for peace, calling for unity. So why are we blocking him? Social media, why? He never said he was going to have a problem with transition. He said it's going to be a peaceful transition. He doesn't want to attend. I can't blame him. Would you necessarily want to attend? I don't think so. So, I mean, of course, they've done it before. They got the phoniness up and everything else. But since our president was treated so badly, no, I wouldn't want to attend. I wouldn't want to be there myself. Campbell. He says, if you read my speech, throughout that speech, he said nothing inappropriate. And that's correct. He didn't say anything inappropriate. He said peace. He wanted peace. And the president goes on to continue to prove that he wants peace. But they're covering up and making it look like somebody else. They had the mayor of Washington, D.C. come out and say that she wanted the National Guard to be there. But anybody say that the president agreed with her and that he has put the National Guard in force throughout the inauguration times to protect our future president and the people involved in that ceremony? No, they didn't mention it. They probably ain't tell you nothing about that. But President Trump refuted these claims by noting people analyzed the speech he gave before incident occurred and thought it was totally appropriate. But they analyzed my speech and my words, he explained, and my final paragraph, my final sentence, and everybody to the T thought it was totally appropriate. Now, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with you here in a moment on the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Stick around. Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Well, once again, I just want to say today is my birthday. Yeah, I'm the birthday boy today. So if you want to contribute, let me know. Anyway, I am going to be, actually I am now 62 years old. So I used to be a young man, but I'm getting up there. Some of you out there know what I'm talking about. But anyway, we're going to talk a little bit right now about Vice President Pence. Vice President Pence informed the House Speaker Nancy Pelosi on Tuesday that he would not invoke the 25th Amendment to remove President Donald J. Trump from office. He said, I don't believe that such a course of action is the best interest of our nation or consistent with our Constitution, he said in a letter to the Democrats. Pence's announcement came as a House Democrats prepared to vote on a resolution asking the Vice President to invoke the amendment, which allows for a process to remove a president unfit to hold office. Give me a freaking break. Our president is not unfit to hold office. Matter of fact, he should still be in office. Invoking the 25th requires the Vice President and either majority of the President's cabinet or a review body appointed by Congress to agree. Now, how are you going to pull all this off in less than 2 weeks? Pelosi, you're crazy. In his letter, Pence preached that this is time to come together, to heal, not further divide and inflame the passions of the moment. Yet they accused President Trump of inciting riots and continuing things to go on. Look who's continuing, people. They've already won the Congress. They've already won the Senate. Why are they trying to create conflict? They got to deal with the Republicans in the House, and they got to deal with the Republicans in the Senate. I am calling upon the Supreme Court of these United States to start doing your freaking job. Start doing your job, because the Democrat Party is going to try to sneak through all kinds of unconstitutional things. And I want you to hear what the Republican Party brings to you, because they are going to have to be the watchdogs of our constitutional rights. Please, as one of the American people, I'm asking you to stand up for the American people, Supreme Court, and start listening to some of these things that are being brought about by this radical Democrat Party that we have that is coming into office very soon. Despite President-elect Biden's inauguration being just days away, Democrats and some Republicans have pushed for Trump's removal from office. Because of the violent riots, he didn't incite anything. They're saying he incited the riots. In the U.S. Capitol, he didn't incite nothing. The Democrats, what do you call them? Their puppets, BLM and Antifa, were the ones that were placed out in front. They were told when to jump into the crowd, and they jumped in. There were people, BLM and Antifa, in case you don't know, that infiltrated your crowd who knew what you were about to do. And they were witnesses, and they will testify to the fact that you were one of the main people who entered that Capitol, the ones who broke in to the Capitol. So you can't hide anything from anybody these days, people. They will put plants in with you, undercover officers, people watching out what you're doing. Go right along with you. Yeah, let's go do this. Yeah, they're watching you. They know what you're doing, BLM and Antifa. Some of your own people you got around you may be plants, just like they do in drug cartels and drug organizations. You don't think they're planting people in your organization to watch you? I guarantee you they are there. Some of them may be your leaders. Trump supporters, fueled by the president's claims that the election was rigged, forced lawmakers, staff, and reporters into hiding for hours. Give me a break. See, this is what I'm saying. Trump supporters. No, it's not Trump supporters. It was just rioters. This could have been anybody, people. Is it really fair? You could have had gangs come together there at the Capitol who don't like D.C., who don't like their mayor. They could come and break in. Yet because they put on a little red, and a lot of them didn't even have Trump on that thing. They just had red stuff on. Supporters don't even do stuff like this. If you really knew and you really weren't trying to railroad our president, once again, you would realize that mainstream media, social media, and all you idiots out there that are constantly pushing this false narrative. Early on Tuesday, Trump proclaimed the 25th Amendment poses zero risk to him, and he's telling the truth. Because it takes too much litigation and all this stuff to even get a president out of office. Democrats, in their so-called national healing efforts, have backfired as they attempt to turn protests on Capitol Hill into their latest red herring attack: white privilege. Yes, people, I said white privilege. I don't believe this exists. What I believe exists maybe is the privilege maybe of elites. I believe that exists. And I believe there are some racists out there, but I don't believe our whole country is full of racists. But let's see what Miss Nancy Pelosi said. As I read to you earlier, Capitol Hill into their latest red herring to attack white privilege. They're saying, you people out there, Trump supporters, if you white, you got white privilege. And this is why you did what you did at the Capitol. Listen, this was a peek. I'm reading from ONA's report. This was a peek display over a video meeting Saturday in which Nancy Pelosi attempted to echo Republican lawmakers' nonpartisan condemnation of violence in D.C., but instead described protests as racially charged events. The current politician, she said, went on to claim demonstrators have failed to wake up to her version of democracy and instead use their so-called white privilege. This is coming out of Nancy Pelosi's mouth, guys. White privilege to storm the Capitol building. This is a direct quote from Nancy Pelosi. They are people in this country led by the president for the moment who chose their whiteness over democracy. She said this out of her own mouth on tape. And I guarantee you the tape will be out soon, so you can hear it. There are people in this country, I'll say it again, led by President Trump, for the moment, who chose their whiteness over democracy. This is stated by Nancy Pelosi. That's what this is about. That's what she said. Pelosi was not the first lawmaker to turn tragedy into a political opportunity. In a public address last week, Joe Biden, who has worked as a lawmaker for over 40 years and accomplished nothing, by the way, claimed that institutions in America allow white people to get away with more than black people. What they allow Obama in office, you see what he got away with? Yeah, sure. Then they go into quote, this is Biden's quote, "No one can tell me that if that had been a group of Black Lives Matter protesting yesterday," which also this took place on the 7th, and Black Lives Matter is a Marxist group, self-proclaimed, they wouldn't have been treated very, very differently than the mob of thugs that stormed the Capitol. So white folks, Biden just called you a mob of thugs. Now we know here at CTM that you didn't do it. We know that BLM and Antifa were the one who infiltrated your crowd and got up there in front and did the damage they did. Yet you have a president-elect calling you a mob of thugs. And they're not calling you only a mob of thugs, they're calling you white. They're saying, and we know this is a lie. There were whites, there were Hispanics, there were blacks, and Trump supporters in that crowd as well. So why are they targeting the whites here? Let's read this again so we get this right. No one can tell me that if that had been a group of Black Lives Matter, black being the main statement, protesting yesterday, they wouldn't have been treated very, very differently. The mob of thugs that stormed the Capitol, Biden said. Well, we all know that's true and is unacceptable, totally unacceptable. Now, this is Biden. This is coming out of your new president's mouth. He just called predominantly all Trump supporters, all million of you, all the several million of you, or people that came out, all you whites are mobs of thugs. That's what they said. He said it. I didn't say it. He called you a mob of thugs. And he identified it as whites, not blacks. So the black people that stormed it, they would say, well, what would they have said? They would say that you would have been arrested, wouldn't be a problem with that. Despite condemning Biden, the first Democrat debate over what she characterized as racist policies, Kamala Harris went on to mimic his claims. So Kamala Harris, your vice president, is also calling whites a mob of thugs. The far-left Black Lives Matter protests are peaceful. This is what Kamala Harris says. This shows you people what the crap we're going to have to deal with in the coming days and year. But I'm hoping and praying that this information, these things that I'm talking about, that are all these people that are out here running their mouths, will come out soon. They may wait a little bit before they bring it out. Wait till they get settled and comfortable. These so-called peaceful Black Lives Matter protests inflicted $2 billion worth of damage in 2020, which made them the most costly riots in the history of our country. After a rally in September, President Trump had warned about growing attempts of the radical left to use radically charged messages to infiltrate American institutions. President Trump warned about it. American institutions such as the government, media, education, in an attempt to sow division in the American society. Then President Trump went on to say, and then we'll go on and take a break, we embrace the vision of Martin Luther King, where children are not judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. President Trump said the left is attempting to destroy that beautiful vision and divide Americans by race in the service of political power. They did it to Martin Luther King, and they're doing it to President Trump, except his assassination is political and in the public eye. Don't think he did it? Remember all the conspiracies about the FBI possibly being involved? That's all I'm going to say about that. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with you here in a moment on the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert. Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the Voice of Truth. By viewing every issue, this is a continuing President Trump's statement. He said that they view every issue through the lens of race. They want to impose a new segregation, and we must not allow that to happen. Despite the left's attempts to tie together conservatives, racists, and vandals, many Republicans have pushed back, demanding the condemnation of the tragedy and remain nonpartisan, especially as the families of those that died still mourn. Yet the Democrats, of course, they continue to move on with their foolishness. Now, you know, I told you yesterday, I called on you to boycott some people around. But, you know, I heard somebody said today, and I don't know if this is true or not, but maybe you can help me with this. They said, and this was from a congressman, a Republican congressman, I'm not going to mention his name, but and from a news people, some people may be possibly on Newsmax, I'm not sure. I watch a lot of different reports, but they were saying the Republicans don't know how to boycott. They don't know how, I don't know where to get this from, but they don't know how to boycott. I asked you to boycott J.P. Morgan Chase, Citicorp. I told you, go ahead over to Wood Forest National Bank. They're a very good bank. And I don't know, I guess Bank of America, they're not behind it. But these people are trying not to support. Then as we find out as the time goes, I'll tell you who else to possibly boycott. But those of you who have money in those banks, get it out. Don't worry if you lose a little interest, whatever. Take it to somebody that's going to stand for the rights of the American people. It may cost us a little bit, but we need to get behind those who stand for America and America first. Well, I'm going to just share this quick report here. This is not necessarily a political report, but I'm just going to share this with you. On Tuesday, General Motors unveiled the plans to mass produce flying vehicles. Wow. GM said a single passenger flying Cadillac could become reality over the next few years. We are preparing for a world where advances in electric and autonomous technology make personal air travel possible. Michael Simcoe, Vice President of Global Design at GM, said the full-rotor vehicle would be able to take off and land on the rooftops, as well as develop in airspeed up to 55 miles per hour. The vertical takeoff and landing drone, or Vertile, is GM's first foray into the aerial mobility. Simcoe stated, it is a concept designed for a moment when the time of essence and convenience is everything. You've been at the office, now you need to get to the media across town. The Vertile meets you on the roof and drops you at the vertiport closest to your destination. Wow, isn't that amazing? But let me share a fact with you. I don't know if some of you realize this, and some of you may know it, and I know the people here in Houston know about it, and NASA. President Barack Obama shut down our space program. They defunded our space program. But thank God for President Trump, because he established what we now know as the Space Force. And we are hoping and praying that President Biden does not try to dismantle the forward movement of technology in this country, just because President Donald J. Trump started it, because they're foolish enough to even attempt to do that. But I do call on people to protest. This crap comes up and try to stop the advancement of this nation, because it is very important for our nation to keep up and to move forward in technology. If we don't do it, they're going to give the technology to some other country and have them come out ahead of the United States. I'm telling you, people, with the Democrat Party, it's all about the Benjamins, all about money, all about money. That's all it's about. They can care less about the American people. We're up for sale here right now with the Democrats in charge of the White House, in charge of the House of Representatives and the Senate. There's a price tag on this, people, a price tag. Some people hold some investments in that price tag. I'm not going to mention names. You know who they are. I don't have to tell you. They appear all the time on your TV sets. But they have an interest in the destruction of this country, the freedom we have. Now, I'll say something to you. I don't know what we're going to be called, but there's people who've actually noticed that in Scripture you don't hear much about the United States of America. See, Satan is after us. The big Satan, the one who wants to, well, actually he's a little thing, but Satan, the one who wants to destroy our country, who wants to destroy the people on the right, the Christian people. They want us declared as a national threat, Christianity. What did I tell you yesterday? I told you that the way communist countries begin, they begin by trying to take away your freedom to serve and worship God. And that means any God. Doesn't make any difference whether you worship a true God, Jesus Christ, or you worship whoever you want to worship. That doesn't make any difference. We disagree, you disagree, don't make any difference. Your freedom of religion is going to be challenged because what it does, it promotes unity. And we can see now those liars that are up on the Capitol Hill, those who control the Senate and the House, were lying. They don't want unity. They're proving right off. What did I tell you? They are proving right off. They don't want unity. They want division. What is the old saying? And I'm going to close with this. What's the old saying? Divide and conquer. Divide and conquer. That's been a strategy of war for years, people. Do you think they want to unify us? They see real control as shutting you up in your house and not letting you do anything. That's what they see control. They see control when they got you in bread lines, walking up a long line waiting for food because they've taken away your jobs and taken away your livelihoods. Ask the people in Cuba. They stole their businesses, stole their livelihoods, made it so they had to stand in food lines. There's a lot of people from Cuba in this country that will tell you, you don't want communism. You don't want socialism. But Democrat Party supporters, I'm speaking to you right now. You don't believe it? Find yourself somebody from Cuba and ask them. And you better get out and vote in 2022 as Congress comes up once again for re-election and give us control, back control of the Republican Party. I don't agree with everything they stand for, some of the stuff I don't like, but I'd rather go with the right than go to the far left. Once again, I want to thank you for joining us here on the Black Conservative Voice. My name is David Colbert, and this is the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. And I want to say what I always like to say to you, because I care about the American people. I care about America first. I want to say to you what I always love to say, because God has given me the right to say it. God bless you, God bless America, and God bless the world. Until next time, this is David Colbert here on the Black Conservative Voice saying good night and God bless.